Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave. It is Tuesday. I'm a little bit more settled in and back to normal after a travel show weekend. Um, yeah. How you been, man? How's training been going?
Good. Everything's been really progressing well. I mean, weights are going up. I feel good.
Right.
It's always the fun part there.
So close to breaking the barrier of 240.
Yeah. Yeah, no joke. 239 the last two check-ins.
Yes.
Point zero. Just exactly 1 pound off.
I know. I'm hoping tomorrow that changes.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. And I mean, what's wild about that is never seeing like I always feel like there's like thresholds like each time you get 240, 250, 260, like that's a cool sensation to get by. I've never saw 300 on the scale obviously, but I can only imagine how cool that would be to see.
Yeah.
Um and not be a complete fat fuck.
Yeah, no joke. Like seeing Nate, Nasty Nate
Yeah.
break that 300 mark. I'm like, oh Jesus. That is a fun look right there. Like
Yes.
you're not fat, you're just a monster,
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
versus like the amount of people who are like especially in like my category,
Yeah. Yes.
like the short, like people 5'5", like the amount of dudes are like, oh man, I'm just want to get over 200. And it's like, dude, you're gonna compete at 140.
Yes.
Like, stop being such a fat ass.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think we all at some point get like skill obsessed.
Yeah,
And we just think that like more scale weight equals more muscle and more strength. And I mean, when I was with Shelby, that's what we were doing. Like he just had me chasing higher scale weight, and it didn't always yield the best outcome.
yeah, super true.
Um, and I mean, I definitely got stronger. That was the strongest as far as like pressing and squatting and deadlifting I ever was, but I hated the way I looked.
Yeah,
Um,
and that
so
that that for bodybuilding, I mean, that's part of the game too. It's like that gets in your head more too if you're just like, you know. And then what I see so often is like if you push someone up high enough on food, right, and they don't like how they look, they basically just start going off the rails because they're already there.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
like, man, what's a cheat meal? Yeah, I'm already fat,
right.
you
Yeah,
know? And it just compounds into being like terrible. And then you're like another 10 pounds heavier than that.
yeah,
And you're like, dude, and it's like, all right, cool. Now to come out of this.
right. What's so
So,
interesting about that? I can speak from direct experience there is like, so we were eating Five Guys 3 nights a week. And on top of 7 meals. So it was like 7 meals plus Five Guys, 3 nights a week. And like it, it was just shoveling food in, right? Like I had those giant Pyrex containers and I would just like have minced beef or turkey or chicken with rice or potatoes and I would just shovel it in. And it was like a ton of fat with it, like dietary fat with that. And it was shakes between meals. It was a shake in the middle of the night. And I remember Angela and I went on an all-inclusive resort to St. Lucia, and it was like I didn't even want to take my shirt off. I was like, "Fuck!" Like I don't even resemble a bodybuilder. I just look like I don't know, just a big guy.
yeah,
You know, no shape. And at that point, like there had never been a time in the day before that period where I hadn't been able to see my abs since I was a kid. So it was one of those things where I was like, what is this? There was occasionally I'd have like a bicep vein if I trained hard enough.
yeah,
And it just turned into me wearing like I remember I'd get like really oversized like Elite FTS shirts and hoods and I did in pants and that's just what I lived in. And I remember when we started a prep, he was like, "Oh, it's going to be at least 25 weeks." And it was 12 weeks before I looked like a fucking bodybuilder again.
hmm
Like, and that's saying like it took me 12 weeks to get into a spot to where like I was ready to diet. And that's just too extreme, man. Like
yeah,
that was not needed. Not at that time. I mean, because you figure I was mid 20s, like 26, 27. Just that was stupid. Now, I mean, I get it. That was the era of that time period of like eat big, get big. Everyone needs to get like good and fat one off season and push strength. And like I embraced it. But it's like in hindsight, like looking back, I'm like, that was a lot of wasted progress. potentially.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't
It's
know.
that fine line because it's just like I mean nowadays kids are so obsessed with being in main gaining
Right.
and they're in a 200 calorie surplus which like if I was in a 200 calorie surplus like I go on an extra dog walk I'm in a deficit
Yeah,
you know like there's a reason why it's higher than that
right, right.
especially like if you have more muscle you burn more calories just being alive
Yes. Yeah.
and that doesn't get accounted for in so many things.
No. No. I can say the only the two positive things that came out of that is that was the season I learned how to eat, like legit eat, and that stuck. Meaning, like it wasn't like just a period of time. Uh, so I learned how to eat, and then I would say that's when I got over. I wouldn't say fear is the right word, but I got over a lot of like barriers in my head about the weights I could lift. Because previous to that time, I was like, oh, 315 on the incline for 10 is a big deal. And
Mhm.
that I was rolling that for like, I didn't need a spotter at that point. And it's like, okay, cool. Squatting 5 plates with ease, deadlifting 5 plates. Like, I was ripping 150-pound dumbbells on rows and chest press. Like, so I feel like that definitely taught me that, like, okay, you can do this. And
Mhm.
that maintained, and I don't know, again, I don't know if scared is the right word, but I just like, you didn't think about that weight again. Like when you break that barrier of a certain weight, like you just don't think about it anymore. Like, it's just the 120s, it's just the 130s. So that was,
Well, I remember how many times I like the first time I pick up the 150s, like you put them on your lap and you're like, is this the set was going to kill me?
right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you get really used to it,
Yes. Yep.
versus like that's like a typical, Tuesday behavior for us,
Correct. Yes.
versus like the first time. I mean, when our normal working set was the 100-pound dumbbells, the 150 seemed like a fucking imaginary number.
Oh, 100%. You sit back, those elbows shake a little bit.
Yeah.
Or at least mine do. Yours might not. They're made of fucking steel
Yeah.
and yeah. So listen, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And I mean, I think like I don't regret anything I've ever done in
Yeah.
bodybuilding. Um, Again, as I said, I learned two valuable lessons through that time period of my life. I still got in good shape. It just took a long time. And a lot of cardio and a lot of days with no carbs, no fat. Um, so I mean, it definitely came off.
Yeah.
So
And then you probably learned some valuable lessons there as well,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because I mean, that's like the fun thing is like the first time you get in shape, like really in bodybuilding shape,
yeah.
is always the hardest time
Yes,
because you've never done it before.
right.
I'm not saying it gets easier,
Mhm.
but the first time you go on a hike and you're like, fuck, that was hard. And this view's awesome. But you're like, fuck, that view's, that it's cool up here. But it's only the second time you go on the hike, you got, it wasn't as hard. It's the same fucking hike.
Yes,
You've just done it before.
yes,
You know what exactly what to expect.
correct.
You know which rock is fucking loose,
Yes,
you know, where it's muddy, where all that shit is,
right.
you
Yep,
know.
100%. So what we thought we would talk about today is I hadn't talked a lot about online about my prep and how things have went, and I thought we'd review all that and go over some lessons that I've learned there and hopefully pass on a lot of things that this next time I compete will be fully transparent. So that'll be pretty exciting. As I've just been like, you know what, no more of this Dorian Yates bullshit. Like, I'm just gonna fully like just let it rip. I have too much knowledge and things to share to not pass that on. So, you know,
Yeah,
I think a
you're
lot of
definitely doing all of us a favor because it's amazing how much like in the reality of the scheme of things, it's like the people sharing their prep experiences, I swear to God, are like the people who've done it once.
right. Yes.
And they're like, and they're the ones where everybody's getting all their information from. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's just like I would much rather learn how to get my information from the guy who's done it, hundreds of times, or you know, versus the guy who's done it twice and now is the expert.
Right.
You
Yes.
know,
Yeah. Without a doubt. And I think a lot of times with all of that, people are like, oh, you're just like gatekeeping information. And the answer is no. Like, I'm not hiding. I don't hide anything. If you ask me a direct question, like, hey, Chris, like, what did you do? I'll tell you. But it's one of those things where I always felt like my personal bodybuilding was never the focal point of my social media. Even though I post a lot of things that I do, I wanted to make that about my clients because I don't ever want it to get twisted that I even remotely put my bodybuilding before my work.
Yeah.
And that I think is a tough pill for a lot of clients to swallow. Like there's no way he can do that. But I mean, you've experienced it, you do it personally, like you get it. Like because that's where I make my money. That's how I feed my family. That's how I pay our mortgage. Like that
Mm.
will always come first. Bodybuilding doesn't pay me nearly what coaching does. So,
Yeah.
so if I begin to become a shitty coach, give people terrible service, treat people poorly, I'm going to watch my income go down and then I'm not going to be able to do bodybuilding.
Hmm.
So, like, so many people are like, they get in their heads like, oh, do you want me to update you this week? I'm like, yeah, please send me your
Yeah.
updates.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's not a big deal. I like my response rate might be a touch slow on Saturday.
Yeah.
Based upon like when you send it. So, it's outside of that. Like I worked the whole way up the road on Friday on my phone or computer. I worked on Sunday coming back. Or sorry, when I was home on Sunday, I worked that morning. So yeah, I think that's why I've always just kind of just been quiet about it. I didn't put a focus on it. Like obviously I post my photos and training and things, but that's more of like me wanting to give hard examples of like what a set should look like, or if you're doing say one arm barbell rows, like this is how your form should look, as
Yeah.
opposed to oh look how fucking jacked my lat looks.
Yeah. I,
Or
I I
whatever.
know both of us are probably in the same spectrum of like we're just right outside of where that social media became like the norm.
Yes.
And by the time social media was like super popular, like the things I do for bodybuilding, what like might seem different to a normal person. I'm terrible at this myself. Like my social media, I'm terrible with.
Right.
But like I'm an open book. You ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you. But like the thing is, like, there's so many things I do on a daily basis what I don't think to post about because I've done them for 10 years now,
Yes. Yep.
consistently. And it's like it's like making a post of if I walked up the stairs to go to my bedroom. It's like something I normally do. I'm gonna go fucking insane do that,
Right.
Because it's like, oh, I did my cardio. It's like, fuck, I'm supposed to,
Right. Yeah.
you know? So like when I see that so often nowadays because it's like the so many people are just getting in the bodybuilder and they're posting all the novelty. And I'm not saying that's wrong,
Right.
but like that's where me and you kind of had that conundrum because like 90% of the shit we do for bodybuilding definitely isn't novelty.
Right. Yeah.
Like me getting my AM supplements in and drinking my, AM gut shake. I've done that for 8 years.
Right. Yes.
Like that's not the first time I've made an AM gut shake,
No.
or like staying hydrated,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My business mentor years ago said to me, he said, Chris, like you drastically underestimate the daily monotony that you do that other people could learn from.
Yeah,
And the example he gave me is he was like, you know how we measure almond butter? I'm like, yeah. He's like, most people have no fucking clue how to do that.
yeah,
He's like, they're trying to drizzle it over shit and scrape it out. He's like, if you post, like, put the almond butter on the scale, tear it, and then scoop it out, and then you can lick the spoon afterwards. He's like, you know how many people don't know to do that? I'm like, fuck, man,
I,
you're right. Like, don't even think about
I
it.
made a joke with my buddy because he made a post about that, and I
Uh,
was like, dude, you're not supposed to spread it on the scale, you know, just like on like just toast on the scale, then you can just look it off the scale. He got a kick out of that.
yeah,
But like you're not wrong. I mean, it's like one of those things where the negative scale weight is just as accurate as the positive.
right. Yeah. And, again, it's like you said, like I've always thought like there's a difference in doing cardio and doing cardio. And that sounds so trivial, right? But when you take every step with purpose and you squeeze your glutes and your hamstrings, or you take the incline up to where you're actually breathing hard and you're sweating, like that's a big difference. The amount of people I see like cruising on a bike, like a recumbent bike, versus actually doing cardio on a recumbent bike is drastic. And yet what's going to happen is the result and the outcome is going to be drastically different, right? Like, or the people who like, they drape on the Stairmaster like it's a, I don't even know, like a couch. I'm like, if you just stood up and lowered the level a couple, like you'd burn a lot more calories,
Yeah, no joke.
like,
And then let's not even go into how hit should be done. That
well,
one always makes me laugh because it's not like a 15-second interval of moderate,
right, yes, right,
you
yeah,
know. And that one always gets me. I see people go and they're like, "I'm doing a hit session," and it's like 45 seconds of them just chilling on the bike, and
mhm,
then 15 seconds of them riding at a leisurely pace,
right,
and then they repeat it. And it's like, did your heart rate even go over 120?
right.
You know, like you
Yeah,
probably should taste blood in the back of your throat on those high intervals. You
always
should be
laugh when I
fucking
see,
shit up on that.
yeah, oh yeah, 100%. Like I laugh when I hear people say like, I did a 60-minute hit workout. I'm like, I've done 22 minutes with Matt Porter, and I couldn't have done one more. And you're telling me you're doing almost two-thirds more than that? Like, I'd really like to see those hit intervals. Like, I remember I would get fucking anxious before getting on that bike in the PM. Like, I would be
Mhm.
like, fuck, man. All right. I'm literally gearing up. I'm like, all right, 22 sets. 22 sets. Okay, I can do this. All right, we're
Mhm.
halfway there. 11 sets done. All right, five to go. Two more. Fuck it. Last one. Like, and I'm like literally in our basement, like yelling at myself, like I'm doing fucking PR on squat. And Angel's like, "Are you okay down there?" I'm like, I have three more. I just have
Yeah,
three more. Like, I
Liz is
mean,
I've
go
gone into the
ahead.
garage and I have a spin bike in my garage, and
Mhm.
Liz is like, someone is gonna call the police when we're having like a domestic dispute because of your hit intervals in the garage because you're just in there screaming for 15 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. Like, I was the final week with Matt. It was like a Wednesday. The show was on Saturday, and I was getting ready to go into the gym to do hit on the stairs. And he emailed me and he was like, "Chris, your hit's done, no more." I'm not exaggerating, man, when I say I sat in the car and cried. And it was tears of joy. It was like, oh my God, I didn't know I was gonna make it through that. And it's like I was gonna do it. Like obviously I was gonna complete the task. But I remember thinking like, oh my God, it's over. It's done. Like I don't have to do that any fucking more, like, or at least for the next 5 days.
Yeah.
What was my thought process? So like, you know, I don't know how many people have went there or gotten to that point. Um, because when you actually do that work, it can be overwhelming, right? Because I mean, I had two of those a day plus training, and it was all with like trace fats, and then it was very low carbohydrate 5 out of 7 days, and then it was very high carbohydrate 2 out of 7 days. So it's like the high days, like I remember I would wake up, I'd do my fasted hit, I'd eat 2 meals, I'd do my second hit, to get it out of the way so then I could just eat my meals and just chill the rest of the day. And then I'd train arms. On Saturday, I'd train arms. And then my first high carb day was back day. So it was like I would train in the late night or later afternoon. And that way I was like, oh, I just get to save my workout to the end where I have a bunch of carbs and I'm replenished. But when you think about it, that morning I'd done 44 rounds of hit. So it's like,
Hmm.
how replenished was I?
Yeah, no joke.
So, yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. Like the experience that I have through coaching, bodybuilding, coaching myself, learning from John, learning from Shelby, learning from Matt, like that knowledge just needs to be passed on. And you know, you know this from working with me. Like I love to experiment in bodybuilding. Like I love trying new shit. And if an idea comes to me, like I'm gonna try it. And if I like it, I'm gonna ask you to try it and then see what you think. And then give it to other people after that. And it's like that's how I've always learned is just, hey, I had this batshit crazy idea. Let's see if it works. And we'll roll with it. Um,
Yep.
and again, that's how I've discovered through both failing and succeeding of like how do I've unlocked some like bodybuilding secrets. And like one of the ones I'm going to share is this was the most water I've ever drank on show day in my entire life. And it's just because the more I ate, the more I drank, the better I got.
Hmm.
And I started to watch that after we got into town on Friday. So I done on Friday the day a day out, like I woke up and I was blasting full. And I was like, okay, this is a good look, but it's a little too soon. So I was like, okay. It was very similar to the way you looked when you woke up on Friday morning. Like
Hmm.
you were there, but I needed to like pause that a bit. So I did egg whites for breakfast, like 2 cups of egg whites, and then I just chilled. I had a few like little packing things. Angela shaved me, and when she was shaving me, she was like, hit a couple shots real quick, and she was like, you went from like full of the house to like pretty small, like soft for you.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's what I see too. And that was just us in our bathroom. And she's like, what are you gonna do? And I said, I feel like I just need some movement. Um, because I'd done pretty much nothing all day outside
Hmm.
of just like household chores for bodybuilding, like getting ready for the show. And so I had a balanced meal of chicken, rice, olive oil, and apple, which is like my normal pre-lift meal. And I did a pre-pump up. So exactly what I was gonna like pump up for the show. And then she took my photos again in the front, like the doorway of our house. And she's like, well, that worked. So at that meal, I think it was 200 grams of rice and 100 grams of apple. So you figure that's like roughly 65 grams of carbs. And then the olive oil was 8 grams, and then the chicken was 225. So like it was a very good balanced meal. And then so then I had 3.5 to 4 hours in the car. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take 3 straight turkey meals, no vegetables, just turkey meals, 225 grams, and then eat those. And then when I get there, I'll assess the look, right? And because I knew I was just going to be sitting there with my dad. I didn't want I was going to be expending any energy. So I was like, you know what, this would be a great opportunity to like really just push hardness and smash water. And that's what we
Hmm.
did. Like I ate those meals in a 2 hour increment, and I was drinking about a liter of water with each one of those like meals, like meal to meal. And when we got up there, we went right into take my weight, and I was 224.8 on the scale to weigh-ins. So I was like this close to super. So I was like that close. I was like, oh fuck, so close.
Hmm.
So I made heavy weight, and that wasn't intentional. It wasn't like I was trying to make any weight. It was just I got on the scale, that's what I was. And I joked to Andrew, I was like, if I'd have had carbs and fat with that last meal, I'd have been a super heavyweight. And I was like, fuck, I should have probably just chugged some water and got back on the scale. But listen, I was just gonna let it ride and see where it was. So then from there, I went and got tanned. And that was like the most efficient process ever. Like I checked it in 5 minutes. The guy sprayed me. My skin was so fucking dry that I dried in like 6 minutes.
Hmm.
And he was like, man, your body sucked that shit right up. So put my clothes on, we get back to the hotel. I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's time to start eating. And so I drastically pulled my protein back. So I went from like 225 grams of protein, dropped that down to 145, so 5 ounces as opposed to eight. And then I just started loading anywhere between 150 and 250 grams of carbs with like 8 to 12 grams of fat. And I just kept that water routine. Like just kept it high. And then my carbs were like all the same shit I've eaten the whole time. So rice, fruit, potatoes, and cream of rice. And I just kept it super simple, like as we always do with you. And then
Yeah.
my fats were olive oil, coconut oil, nut butters, and then and I obviously had red meat, and then I had some whole eggs with me. So like those are my fat sources. I had no vegetables. My protein was the only proteins I took with me were I took 4 hard-boiled eggs total, and 2 of those I ate when I got home, like from the trip. So only ate 2 whole eggs, and then it was filet, chicken, and turkey, and that was all.
Hmm.
So it was like the easiest prep of food in traveling with. Like I think I told you was like I just wanted to try like keeping this prep like stupid simple. This is the least amount of fish I've ever eaten in a prep, and I don't think it negatively impacted me. I had fish, but it's the least amount because in the past I'd done 3 and 4 meals of fish a day. And I don't think that hurt me negatively.
Hmm.
I tend to like fish when I get hungry, but it just where I have to go get it is like a little bit more cumbersome of a drive, and I just ended up just eating turkey because for some reason like turkey and chicken tasted really good to me as well as egg whites. And like
Yeah.
I got in a rhythm of that. And like if Angela and I were on that side of town, like we'd stop and I'd get shrimp, salmon, and probably like 4 big pieces of cod. I'd eat through that, but when it was out, I wouldn't go back and get it the rest of the week, and I would just eat chicken and turkey. And then, as you know, I only eat red meat twice a week, so I would
Yeah.
eat one 96 4 ground beef or a fillet or a big top sirloin that we put in the crock pot. So pretty simple prep. On Friday, like I literally just I kept eating at every 2 hour increments of those macros of like what I saw in the mirror. And I'm telling you, man, the more I drank, the more I ate, I was just getting harder and drier. And my dad at one point, he looked at me and he was like, because he's been to every show with me since 2015 that I've done.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not trying to make you panic, but he's like, shouldn't you cut your water off?
Yeah.
He's like, you always cut it off. And I was like, I'm gonna cut it off when I need to.
Yeah.
And he's like, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't see any reason to cut it off. And I just didn't. And I think that was the right move. I love the level of fullness that I normally have with a lot of water in me throughout the course of the prep. So I was like, I'm just gonna do it this time and let it ride. Like I think I in the past I'd always let it get in my head to where coaches have been like, you got to cut your water, Chris. Like I need you harder. And all it did, it definitely made me harder, but it also made me flatter.
Hmm.
Which meant I had to eat more food, which meant it made my stomach harder to suck in. So it's like this fine line of like, why? And you know, I got to watch with you firsthand the last few shows. Like, we just don't fuck with water and don't mess with you. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have the balls this time to not succumb to that peer pressure, and it worked. So,
Yeah.
lesson number one for everyone out there: like, don't cut your water. The amount of competitors backstage, they're like, "Man, how are you drinking so much?" And I'm like, "How are you not drinking so much?"
No joke.
Hold on, you haven't eaten one rice. We haven't seen you eat one rice cake. I did have a few rice cakes, but that was simply to shuttle nut butter into my mouth. It was a
Yeah.
vessel.
That's right. It was a fork.
Yes, yeah. I think on Friday night I had one caramel rice cake and one chocolate rice cake. And that's the
Yeah.
only rice cakes I had the whole time. But what's funny is I actually enjoy rice cakes, like eating them like just for pleasure.
Hmm.
Because they're crispy and shit. So um but yeah, so I'm trying to think what else in terms of that final loading procedure that was interesting or unique. Like when I woke up to take a piss at like 3:30, and that was that leg video that I sent you.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, fuck, that's a good like that was it was pretty damn hard. And
Yeah.
I was like, I am thrilled with this, but I need to start eating and drinking. And that's what I did. So like as soon as I took that video, I sent it to you, I sent it to Chris, I sent it to Angela, and then I immediately went pounded my good morning drink with creatine, drank a liter of water, reposed, and then from there I assessed to how much food I needed. And
Hmm.
I had 3 meals before stage. They were all balanced meals. They were obviously lowered protein, so it was 4 ounces of protein. Um, well, yeah, it was 4 ounces of protein, and the carbs were anywhere between 80 and 125, and then the fat was around 8. So I had 3 of those meals, got on stage with our magic of Vaso Blast, Rice Krispie treats, and almond butter and salt. And yeah, man, I mean, it went as smooth as it could have been,
Yeah.
or could have went. So that was kind of like the show day. And pre-judging didn't start till 10. And then when I got off stage, like I looked at my photos, I sent them to you, I called you, we shot the shit. And like I was to the point where I was almost right where I needed to be. So food was actually lowered.
Hmm.
And then my water, I just tapered back a little bit. Like
Hmm.
I went from like what I would say is like full send drinking to I just like kind of cut it a little bit, but I still drank when
Yeah.
I was thirsty. So
Yeah.
I competed at, let's see, I was by the time we went back for finals, I was 232.4. Um, so which is amazing because the last show in 2023, I woke up 219 on the scale and I was 219 the whole day. So the cool thing is I have all that data. So I'm like, all right, so 219 versus 232, yeah, I'll take that shit.
Hmm. The shit worked.
Right, right. And you know what's funny is like when I looked back, I compared my 23 photos with my current photos, and I did a lot of things different that time. Like I kept all my supplements in. I didn't pull GH. I kept insulin in the whole time. And then what I think that yielded a really cool look on stage. But this time, like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just taper all the other shit back and then get on stage. And I think it actually yielded a little bit more of a harder look and allowed me to eat a little bit more aggressively. So I'm not saying that is always the right answer. Because I've done it all types of ways. Like John's pulled it all, Matt's pulled it all, Shelby's kept it all in. There was one prep with John where I kept GH in the whole time. So I think the true answer is like somewhere in the middle for me.
Yeah.
Like keeping some GH, keeping insulin, obviously, and then just like tapering back supplements. Um, so yeah, that's as far as a supplement protocol. The coolest thing I will say that I learned this time was that at 10 days out, I started pulling back all stimulants. So Clen, T3, um, energy drinks, coffee went to decaf. I switched from like a diet soda to a caffeine-free diet soda, and I think that made a pretty significant difference um, in terms of lowering my like total cortisol levels.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty significant change that I'd tried and tinkered with this time. Um, I did switch to that this is the longest I kept protein shakes in. Well, it was Ninja Creamies actually to be exact. Like I normally cut those at like 8 weeks out, but I kept those into like 14 days out. So another cool thing that I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's just try it and see what happens because I was getting better each week.
Mhm.
Um, Again, I think all these things that I'm mentioning right now are like really negligible, and for most people aren't going to matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think any of those things were going to make or break the look for me. I just like tinkering with them and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that, like, for sure, the pulling back of the Clen and the T3, I think helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It improved my sleep. It made me just more calm as a whole. And it removed that like slight like flight or flight. I tapered my cardio back. Training kept high, like high intensity, but I pulled the volume back at the very end. Like the final week, I pulled the volume, like very similar to what you and I did in
Hmm.
Vegas. I did that the whole last week, and I think that helped me a ton. Like,
Yeah.
like my final leg day usually is like straight murder, and I didn't do that this time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like
that's probably that's a learned skill right there.
yes, and I mean everything inside of me that day was like, "You're good, Chris. You're good. Come on." And I remember looking at Chaz, and I was like, "I think I'm done," and he's like, well, then be done. And I was like, let's go do one set of cable pull throws just to make sure I get my glutes like fully in. And he's like, what do you tell your clients? He's like, you tell them when their body's good, they chill, right? Like, let's go do one set of cable pull throws.
Yeah. You're like quiet.
Right, right. Like you're the little brother. You need to shut the fuck up now. Um, so the cool thing is like we got it on camera and he was like, I'm glad we filmed that because it looked fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so I can say like with all of those like little changes, I think that made a huge upgrade in terms of the crispness of my look and my body's ability to take in the food, take in the carbohydrates, and not just keep burning through them. Because I think in the past, what I'd been guilty of is like I'd kept my foot on the accelerator for so long that whenever John, Shelby, or Matt would feed me, they'd have to give me more because I was just burning through it.
Mhm.
Like especially with training and like with cardio, I was keeping that shit high. Like they'd be like, "Oh, well, like just keep your cardio back to 30 minutes." I'm like, "Well, okay, I'm on there 30 minutes. I'm going to take that bitch to 10 incline. I'm going to work." Like I'm like, I only have 30 minutes. Like fuck, and like doing that little shit extra, which I used to view as like hardcore and like over like be above and beyond. Like as I'm aging, I'm like that just works against you. Like the work is
Mhm.
done, the fat's off. Like relax.
Yeah.
So that was definitely something that I learned, and I hope people can hear and listen to. But you also have to know, like, if all your body fat isn't off, then you can't follow that.
Yeah. It's how with everything. Well, it's like the last 2 years for me, I think I've really played into being really mindful with my rest days.
Yes. Yep.
And that only works because my training days are really fucking hard.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
That's the absolute secret to that.
Yep.
And same thing with, when you pull back cardio and, you know, it's because every other session you did was really fucking hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's the problem really arises is when those changes get swapped around and you weren't doing it really well beforehand.
Yep.
So like pulling out your cardio really wasn't even that big of a deal.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It'd be one of those things like, remember there was one time where Shelby pulled my cardio back. He's like, only do 20 minutes today. And I was like, hell yeah, like 20 minutes sounded like a vacation. So I was like, I told Angela, I'm gonna get on the Stairmaster and do like level 10 for 20 minutes. Like that was stupid as shit.
Hmm.
But in my mind, I'm like, it's only 20 minutes, Chris. Like, you can do this shit. Like, buckle the fuck down. Let's get it. Where
Hmm.
if I'd have gone there at 20 minutes for level 5 and just squeezed my glutes, it probably would have yielded a far superior outcome.
Yep.
So again, that goes back to maturity. Um, and I think a lot of times in this generation, people view competitors as trying to do the least. And that's where you and I are atypical. If we're going to get in trouble, it's because we're doing too much.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like take an extra rest day. Hey, like we don't need that third back off set. Hey, like you probably don't need a triple drop set here. Like just do it right the first time and step away. Like
Yep.
you probably don't need two squat variations on your final leg day. Like a leg press and a squat will be okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge lesson and learn to walk away with. Kind of piggybacking off of our last conversation we had about me just being more present and mindful of my environment, my attitude, my behavior to my friends and family. Like I feel like that was such a huge win for me. Um, and that's something that Angela, like when I got home on Saturday night, she was like, she's like, I'm not gonna say that this was easy for me to endure, but this was the best prep you've ever had with me outside of the very first one. And the very first one, her and I just started dating. So I was like so happy that like I was so happy to be bodybuilding and like found someone who loved and appreciated me. Like that was just an easy time in my life. And I think that compared to now, so you figure that was what? I would just turn 23 to 40. So it took me 17 years to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's crazy to think about like when you say it out loud, right? Like I'm not someone who competes every year. I usually compete every other year, but still, that's a 17-year process to learn that skill. Um, and I think a lot of people just they give up too soon and they don't realize like, hey, there are things we can do to fix this. And it started with me making a conscious effort and writing that down in my notebook and say, I'm gonna win at this. I can't determine if I'm gonna win the show, but damn it, I can treat my wife and kids like they're A1,
Hmm.
you know?
That's the truth is, you got to set those boundaries with yourself.
Yep. Yep.
And that all, I mean, we all do the same thing with when it comes to training.
Yes.
I can't think of one bodybuilder who, if they had a scheduled training session and their life went haywire,
Yes.
they wouldn't try to figure a way to fix it, right?
Correct.
That's because they made themselves a commitment. They're like, all right, cool, we're going to the gym, we're training our face off.
Yes. Yep.
You're
Yep.
gonna make it happen. Like I can't tell you how many times I trained at 4 a.m. because I had to,
Correct. Yes.
you know? And yeah, that may not be the most optimal thing, but I just don't understand how people can't take that and be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna learn how to not be an asshole to my wife or
Yes.
my girlfriend
Yep.
because she's not the one prepping for the show,
Correct.
and it's my choice to prep for the show.
Right. Yep.
Like why am I complaining about something I get to do?
Yes.
And that's where that you just draw that line and you don't cross it.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
So that was a big thing for me. I think I'd also mentioned here before, like I'd promised myself that I wasn't going to just like tear through spending tons of money to self-soothe myself for being hungry. And I did not do that. Not one singular time. I didn't. Normally, I'm like buying kitchen appliances and fuck, I bought a $100,000 truck in that 21 prep, like just stupid shit.
Mhm.
I'll go on gas and spend like $500, like dumb. Like, and I just simply refuse to do this time. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. I'm gonna just live in the moment, and I'm not gonna act like I need to be a kid at Christmas and have a Amazon package on the porch every day just because I'm hungry at meal four.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool, not only for our family and our bank account, but it taught me that like I didn't need that. Where in the past, like God, I can't tell you any time. Like there was one prep that I did with Shelby where every week I bought one or two pairs of shoes. Like just stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
So I'm not saying if you're out there and you do that, it's a bad thing. It's just a personal goal I set for myself. And I was like, you know what I'm not gonna do? I'm gonna see if I can make it this time. And I did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um I really leaned into just being, I think, grateful and appreciative to be here and doing this. And that's something you always lead from the front with, which is badass to watch. Um, and just relishing in the very moment of existence. Yes, I'm
Yep.
hungry, but it's for a reason. Yes, I'm tired, but it's for a reason. Like
Yep.
it will,
It's
what's it that it's that Tom Hanks quote where it's like, this too shall pass. Like
yeah.
the
Well,
good
it's just
times
like
and the bad.
every time I'm hungry on prep, I think back to the off season of me sitting at my kitchen counter at 10 at night,
Mhm.
just looking at a bowl of food and just saying, fuck. Like I want to go to bed. And
Right.
then I sit there and fucking finish it, drag my ass up to bed,
Mhm.
where it would have been the easiest thing on the planet, just be like, that's going in the garbage. I don't need to say a word,
Right.
but you got it done. And it's like, if I can do that,
Mhm.
I can be hungry for 2 hours,
Correct. Yes.
you know?
Yep.
And that is always what gets me through that because it's just like the entire reason I'm dieting
Mhm.
is to show off what I did in the off season.
Correct. Yes.
And why, if I can't handle that,
Yeah.
I ate that meal at night, 10 p.m. I forced that shit down for nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Fuck. That does not sit well for me.
No.
I did not go through eating those meals to fuck up now when it's the easy part.
Right. Yes. Yep. I think the last thing I'll touch on here, like learned experiences, is now I'm going to preface this. Know that I'm not saying this is the right way. And I've preached for years this isn't the right way. But I have not put one shitty thing in my mouth since the show. And it goes back to the conversation we had at the beginning of this is I just wanted to run an experiment.
Yeah.
And you and I talked off camera and I was like, man, this is the least food focused I've ever been in my entire life. And with the way the show worked, with us being done. Literally, I mean, I was off stage at 4 o'clock. I was in the shower, and my dad and I had our car packed at 5 p.m.
Hmm.
It was a 4 hour ride home, and I was like, you want to get something to eat, or you want to go home? I was like, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to go home. I was like, let's do it. Fuck it. And so, what's really interesting is I'd packed a meal with me to take in case I needed an extra one for finals, which was turkey, rice, olive oil, and an apple with Nerdy Sanchez sauce on it. And so I ate that on the way back to the room and then showered, packed, which we didn't take a lot of stuff, so it was super easy to get our stuff together. I made a giant bowl of bolognese and with banana, 22 grams of almond butter, which I don't think I'd had that much almond butter on anything in like 6 months. And like that was the most glorious fucking meal I'd had. And then I had one of those the grape ghost energy drinks. And my dad and I just like got in the car and just rode home. And then we stopped at Sheets about halfway home and we went inside. I got some watermelon and I had a sleeve of rice cakes. So seven of them, not the full sleeve, but seven mixed with like whey sludge and peanut butter. And then we rode home. When I got home, I unpacked all my shit. I had chicken, rice, olive oil. I can't remember what fruit I had. It was some berries maybe. And then I had two squares of like fruity pebble Rice Krispie treats that Angela had made me. And
Hmm.
and then I had a Ninja Creamy and went to sleep. And then the next day, I just woke up and I just had all bodybuilding food all day long in a moderate amount. So I ate 6 times moderate food. That night, I'd made her and I like grass-fed burgers on the grill with Alexia fries, and that was delicious. And
Yeah,
then
that's always good.
yeah, oh, man, it was incredible. Like, where normally I'm gonna go to Five Guys and have 150 grams of fat. Instead, it was like 30 grams of fat.
Yeah.
And I didn't go smash a bunch of cookies and cakes and ice cream. I was like 2 hours, like her and I sat down, we were watching football. I got up in 2 hours. I made me an Oreo Ninja Creamy, and then we went to sleep. Like, and guess what? Got up the next day, Monday, trained back. My food was sky high from clean food. So I was completely content. And then today, I am on more moderate food.
Hmm.
And then tomorrow will be low food. And then hopefully Thursday, if my looks good, my scale weight's good, I'll either load food for legs on Thursday or I'll push that to Friday and do a load on Friday. So, and then her and I will do another free meal where I'll make it for us and we'll eat it here. Like, and she was like, "How would you like to do like barbecue chicken thighs, potatoes, and naan?" And I'm like, "Sounds pretty fucking good to me." So, like, that's our plan. I'd found like for some reason on Instagram they had sent I'd seen like a reel of like where this guy made like oatmeal protein brownies, and it was like 5 ingredients and there's nothing shitty in them. I'm like, I'm gonna make some of those, dip them in a creamy, and that'll be the dessert before bed. So
Sounds amazing.
again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I'm not gonna have a free meal for the rest of my life, but I'm just gonna ride this wave. Like, you and I always joke about team skinny ankles. Like I've had zero edema. I've been vascular from my head to my toes, zero distension, no gas, no burping, no heartburn, no sleep apnea. And it's like, man, that's happened to me in the past so many times. Like,
Mhm.
because I think that like at the grand scheme of life, like I love the extreme of things. And I'm not just gonna have 3 Oreos and call it a night. Like, that's just not how I operate.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. It's blast or dust for me.
Yeah.
Like if you and I are going to go eat Krispy Kreme, I'm not just going to get two and walk away. Like that's just going to leave me unsatisfied.
Yeah. That's
So
fair.
yeah. So again, I'm not saying this is the right way. I can tell you that this is the best I feel. My blood pressure is incredible. Like I don't know. I'm not getting like nasty cramps in my shins and tibia, in my calves when I'm trying to do cardio. Like so, all
Yeah.
major wins. And again, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there were definitely periods of time where on Sunday I was like, oh man, it'd be really cool to go out and have a meal. But then I'm like, why? Like, it just didn't feel right. So I just continued to
Yeah.
stay on my schedule, ate my bodybuilding food. And if I got to the point where I was like ravenously hungry, I'd have a coffee or an energy drink, or I'd take a nap. Naps to me are an easy win.
Yeah.
So
Super true.
yeah. So again, eventually, I'm sure. You know what? Maybe I'll have my first cheat meal on my birthday, which is October. So yeah, maybe that'll be the reward, right?
Yeah.
So I have it written on my fridge. This 8 week rebound is my Olympia, and I know in my heart if I nail this and then go into that full off week of getting full rest, not doing anything, resting, recovering, letting my body heal, my brain heal, and then start into an off season, like it'll just set me up for potentially the best growth I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's like I told you after I heard the feedback, like I have to fix one body part. Now, I mean, everything can be better, obviously. I'm not a moron, but to hear like one body part stands in your way, fuck, man. Like I can't withhold for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty damn simple when you
That's
think about
fair.
that. Like it's just one of those things. Like if I want a legitimate shot at placing well at Masters Nationals, like it's just 43 weeks. I dieted for 35 weeks. So
Yeah.
again, not something I would suggest to most people. That's just how my season worked out. And traveling with you and for Chris and like my life and football, like I would never have planned to string this out for 35 weeks, but that's just the way it worked out. And again, I think that it actually worked because it was like a slow burn. And again, I mean, we diet all year anyways. I just slowly pulled my food back. It wasn't everyone because when people hear me say that, they're like 35 weeks, that's crazy. I'm like, what are you doing for 52 weeks?
Hmm.
Like, I still ate all my normal meals. They were just reduced.
Yeah, it's not like you're always in a deficit either. I mean, you got
Right.
cyclical with your carbs and stuff. So like,
Yeah. Yeah. Cardio was waived. The only thing that stayed constant was training hard, you know?
mhm.
And I mean, I think
That
that's
would have
what
been that way either way. That would
yes,
have been the same concept if you didn't even do a prep.
right. And I think what worked out for me this year is like I built my food pretty fucking high in the off season.
Hmm.
So I just started pulling it like a little bit at a time. And I think that's why I never felt like, man, it didn't feel like I was dieting until like the last 8 weeks. Like when I truly got back from being with you guys, that's when I felt like I was dieting.
Yeah,
Like, and I could feel it, right? Like outside of that, man, I was thriving. I felt good. It was no issue. And I mean, when I was in Vegas with you, I felt like I was in pretty good shape. I wasn't show ready by any means, but I was in a good holding spot for get home, drop the hammer, and get the fat off, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, man. Like I think as an all in all, like great season, great learning lessons, and I'm just gonna build off of this bitch and keep doing what we do. And like I think that's something that my brother asked me today is he's like, it's pretty fucking cool to watch how much you love this stuff. I'm like, yep.
yeah.
I got back and I had such a fire burning in me. Like he couldn't film one Monday and he was like, fuck, I'm so sorry. And I was like, listen, I'm gonna film one way or the other. We're gonna get this on camera.
And
And
you
then,
did.
yep. And we filmed today and we're gonna film tomorrow. We'll film on Thursday. Like, so it's one of those things where it's like, man, like this experience has taught me that hard work always pays off. And yes, and God, I've said this so many fucking times on the show, but it's like it's taken me a lot longer to be successful than I ever would have envisioned. But when I look back, and if you'd asked my 19-year-old self if I'd have looked the way I did on Saturday, I'd have probably laughed at you and be like, there's no chance in hell that's me. So,
I think it's pretty fucking funny because I had a conversation with someone when I was 22,
uh-huh.
and I was like, I said two things to him because
Okay.
he was a competitive. He still is. I mean, he hasn't competed in a minute, but he competed as a light heavyweight. Light heavyweight. He went to USA's a couple times.
Mhm.
Placed in I think he was in the top five twice.
Oh, well.
But he was really in the competing like when I was like 21, 22.
Mhm.
And I told him I was like, I'm just gonna be really happy like when I'm a like lean 200 and I can bench three plates on incline. And it's funny because like that was like a goal that was all the way the fuck up here,
Right.
you know, and like I'm still fucking happy I'm there,
Right.
but like I had zero fucking clue I'd get to this point,
Right.
and it wasn't just because like I didn't set any limits on myself,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
and here we are.
Right. Yeah. You know what's wild is I think back like, the first show I ever did, I was a middleweight. And then I remember the first time I made light heavyweight, I was petrified. And the first time I made heavyweight, I was like, fuck. Like, I can't stand with these big boys. And then now it's like, I told Angela, I was like, there's no reason I'm not a super heavyweight. Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, it's time.
Yeah,
And she's like, yeah, you're right. Embrace it. It's time. And I mean, it's one of those things where it's like time, effort, energy, man. As it just, yeah. So, I mean, I know in my heart, like, if nothing shrinks and my back grows, I'll be a super.
yeah,
It's literally math. So yeah, that's what we do. Um, and there's no, again, I think that's another reason why I wanted to stay tighter with this rebound was I didn't want in the past I'd gotten what I'll call false results really quick. And I'm like, fuck, I'm a hard 250. And then that fades real quick. And then like, oh no, I'm a soft 250.
hmm, yeah.
And I think like, I was talking with Chris today and I said, if I can get to like a very lean 250 and hold that bitch and then only have to lose like 15 to 20 pounds in July, that'll yield a good look, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well, it's the same concept for me in reality.
yep,
Because I mean, for this last prep, I weighed in at 218 for USA's, and we started prep at 232.
right. Yes. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
someone do the math on that. Like,
Yep.
like,
Yep. Yep. And I mean, in my mind, when I think about you, like if we start your prep at like 240, 245,
yeah,
come down to 224 or into super, doesn't matter. Like that's gonna be I think about your look, what you look like at 218. If you push that to 224 to 228 to 230, fuck man. Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's just gonna be the answer. And I think like of anything is it's like slow, steady progress.
yep,
Just keep ticking that box. And I mean, listen, you've shown that to everyone on the internet for the last 8 years, and I see no reason why the ninth year isn't going to be the exact same.
yeah,
So, anyways, guys, I hope you all learned some cool lessons. If you want to know anything else or more about what I did or what Dave did for USA's, post in the comments below, and we will go over it next time. So, until then, Chris, Dave, we are done.